Welcome back to Pixie Heart Club, where dreams, magic, and heartwarming conversations come to life. I'm your co-host, Troy Nicole.
And I'm Brittany, and welcome to We No Longer Know What's Going to Happen because they're not following the book.
Well, I mean, they still technically follow it for the most
they follow like the general like structure of the time, like of what happens. They follow, but like the liberties are being taken, and they're being taken in a way that I was sitting there watching this episode like this.
You know, it's kind of interesting because I feel like whenever adaptions are TV shows, they take more liberties than they do with a movie. A movie's a set amount of time you have, and whether or not it gets a second or third movie doesn't really matter. But in like series, you know, if you're going to have a series, they take a lot of liberties.
They do.
But
I'm not going to say they're bad though. I'm liking the liberties that they're taking.
I feel like the liberties that they take in this adaptation versus the movies are very different. So I feel like in the movies, it was kind of like just sporadically giving liberties to things that didn't really make any sense. But then in the TV show, a lot of the liberties that are being taken are furthering, you know, a point that's trying to be made or something like that. And adaptions, it's 9 times out of 10 impossible to be 100% like their source. So let's just get into it.
Listen, the episode starts. I'm trying to like keep
really
it. Like in my head, I want to jump to so many different things, and I'm like,
starts so dark, but it starts with Percy's nightmare.
Yeah. So okay, I'm just gonna say Percy's nightmares. I'm like, I don't remember. Sea of Monsters again is like my least favorite book, so I don't remember the things.
He does
I know
have a
he has
nightmare.
dreams.
He does have a nightmare about Thalia. He does have a nightmare about Thalia.
Yes.
He doesn't know it's Thalia, but he has a nightmare about it.
But I feel like Annabeth knew it was.
Well, yeah, because I think because when he made the comment that he thought it was Cronus, but ended up not being Cronus, you know, she's Annabeth. Yeah. I feel like that would be the only person that would have made sense in that scenario. So it's understandable why Annabeth knew who they were talking about. I think it's interesting though that his nightmare went from, you know, the possibility of destroying camp being on his shoulders, but now there's also kind of like a double-edged sword to that, where the possibility is that this could be on somebody else's shoulders. That it, like, you know, it's not obviously to them, Thalia is not alive, but like, you know, that there are other ways this could play out. Like what if Thalia is the one that brings on Olympus and you have all these demigods, which is horrifying. All the little kids on the ground dead.
Listen, I was like, this is really dark.
It got so dark. I was like, oh my God.
I guess this episode, last episode kind of gave me the vibes of like the series is going to be much darker than the books. I don't know. It's just his nightmares are literally traumatizing him.
Which,
and I mean, we already know he has like severe, like not abandonment issues, but he can't handle losing people.
Yeah, his
actions become very when he loses people.
I think it's interesting that they also added Tyson to kind of consistently remind him of what Sally says. It's like, you know, heroes, you know, help people and they save people. And that's something that Percy has grown up thinking in his head. He's like, you know, if you're a hero stands up for other people. And that has always been something that he's held to a very high esteem, which is you save people you care about. You save the less fortunate. You save whoever, you know, is in the vicinity needs to be saved. So for him to then have a nightmare instead of him being the one, you know, that's possibly holding, I'm assuming, the cursed dagger, you know, it being Thalia and everything that we know happens later on, it's okay.
It makes me question what's gonna, like, how is he gonna react to that revelation?
I feel like this happens a lot of times in book adaptions in particular, where there's a series and because there's source material, the foreshadowing gets taken to levels that I think are a little bit unnecessary. I don't think it's necessary to keep foreshadowing Thalia as much as we have. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, it's not turning me off of the TV show or anything like that. But I do think that some of the foreshadowing, I can kind of understand what people are saying, that, you know, at some point we don't need foreshadowing for everything we know is going
to happen. Let some things be the surprise they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because they keep, like, it's been mentioned, it's kind of been alluded to multiple times now. And it's just like, okay.
Like, because like,
we get it.
I feel like in the second book, when we get to the end and what happens with the Golden Fleece works, a little bit too well, everyone is shook. Everyone's sitting there like, oh my God. But I feel like in this, and again, I do understand that, it's helpful also for people who have not read the books. If you haven't read the book and you don't really know what's going on, it might be helpful to have all that foreshadowing going on, so you'll be able to follow along what's happening. But I actually kind of liked the nightmare. I think the nightmare was really interesting to have Percy amongst the demigods that are all dead, and he looks, and instead of seeing Cronus, he sees Thalia, because at the end of the day, whatever happens would be the fault of whatever the demigod of the prophecy is. So I actually kind of liked it. It was really dark, and me and you, it's funny because me and you always talk about how we love Heroes because how dark it gets in comparison to the Olympian series, which is very chilled out. They're taking a whole new level.
Yeah. And then another thing that I thought was funny, I was like, this is actually a foreshadow to what happens in the rest of the episode, because when he gets up and, Annabeth's like, what's wrong? He immediately wants to change the plan.
Yeah.
He immediately wants to change everything that they planned out, everything that they worked for, because like, he's like, I can't, like, there are people in danger. We have to help them. Like, I have to save them, essentially. And even in this sense, she's like, no,
we're not doing that.
Plan. This is what we're gonna do. This is what's actually gonna save everybody. We've already talked about this. Like, and I was just like, this is actually kind of a foreshadowing situation.
Yeah, because so much of, I feel like Percy after Circe Island, I almost called her something totally different. After Circe Island, he's really just questioning everything about himself, and he's questioning so much of his decision making, which is some hella foreshadowing for the end of that episode.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I was like, it's starting already. Okay. All right.
It's like, oh, we're really traumatizing Percy early, but okay.
We're really traumatizing Percy is kind of the theme for this episode. However, I love the fact that it was just like, no, you know how like normally in some of these shows it'll be like, you're probably wondering what happened to so and so. No, they just showed us Tyson just sinking. I said, okay. Well, for those who didn't know, Tyson is alive.
Like, I was like, oh, we're starting off like that.
Yeah, I was like, no, I kind of like we went from Percy's dream to Tyson.
I think it went Tyson, Percy's dream.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I think Tyson was first and then Percy's dream.
Okay. But yeah, I just laughed because, of course, we finally got what I've wanted for this whole time.
Yeah, you've
and
been
I was
waiting
like,
for this.
I think that the writers are so petty for that rainbow boat in episode 2.
Because people think they weren't getting the hippocampi.
But like, I think the way that they did it is just like, we're gonna troll the viewers. Like, I appreciate a good troll. I laughed when I saw the rainbow boat the first time because I said, yo, I was like, is this rainbow?
Like, oh no hippocampi.
I was like, oh, that sucks. I mean, I didn't freak out, but like, still, like, oh, that sucks. But now, not only did we get them, I said, oh, the CGI was CGI-ing.
I was actually really impressed. I was impressed.
I said, this is actually what I imagine. Well, minus the like rainbow colors. But this is exactly what I imagine hippocampi to look like based on the way that Percy described them in the book. Yeah. I said, you know what? Yay! It could have been worse. I scratched myself on the forehead. But yeah, I like them. They remind me of that one book, the Magical Bluefish book, the kids book, where like the scales are like tiny. That's what they reminded me of. I'm like, oh, Rainbow and his crew.
You've been waiting for that for weeks.
I've been waiting for that for so many episodes. So yes, we found my rainbow.
Okay, so we're at Polyphemus's island, and the plan is to cover themselves in fleece and to apparently, trick Polyphemus.
Okay. So while we have managed to cover up a lot of plot holes, we have managed to cover a lot of plot holes through the series. It's just one plot hole that keeps reoccurring. It's the he can hear us plot hole.
Yeah.
Where it's like, shh, Percy, it's here. Sir, he can hear you. He's supposed to be able to hear you.
And that's always been my question. I was just like, when I was watching it, I was just like, so how far does he have to be to not hear you? Like, cause you know that with Tyson can hear pretty well, even if they're not super close to him. And he's a baby Cyclops. He's like 8-year-old Cyclops. But Polyphemus has been around for a billion years. So like, how far can he hear? Which, I mean, okay.
It's not that big a deal. It's just one of those things where I just pay attention to it.
No, here's the reason I don't think necessarily it's a plot hole is because we already know that in this rendition of what happened at Polyphemus' Island, he knows they're coming. Yes. So I don't think it necessarily matters whether or not he can hear them.
That's what I was also saying. I was like, because remember, I had to remind myself, like last episode, we thought homie wasn't listening, and the whole time homie was listening and plotting.
Yeah.
So it could be that he was listening, he could hear them, and he was just letting them think that they were doing what they needed to do. That way he could get close enough to do what he wanted to do.
Right. Because it wasn't trap.
That conniving. Yeah. He's that conniving. Again, he's still so cute. He's so
I will say, I really enjoyed the change in Polyphemus's character, where instead of him just being this giant who has the fleece and is just eating demigods or whatever and satyrs, he's this lonely creature, but he's lonely in the sense that while he's lonely, there's also a peacefulness to that. Like he's on this island alone, minding his own business in retrospect, you know.
Minding his own business, and just so happened that everybody keep coming on his island.
Now, granted, he does lure satyrs there, but
speaking of the lure satyr part, when Grover asked him, what did you learn to start doing? Like, how did you learn the fleece would bring satyrs? And he's like, how do you think the fleece got here? I was like,
and I feel like that's an interesting part too, because so much of Greek mythology, like biased up with like removing Percy Jackson from the conversation, Greek mythology in itself is a lot of, you know, really insane choices that gods and demigods and monsters
are making.
And so I think it's pretty interesting, especially with Grover's character, because so much of Grover's character is about finding Pan and you know, making the world a better place, which we know, you know, we can't really talk about because future characters and future things that happens with Percy and his can't talk about that. But I do think it's interesting, and I love Arian's portrayal of Grover. I think he does so well because he works so well with his own eyes, where when he makes a comment about Pan, Grover's whole face and his eyes just like
he looked like somebody just told him there was no Santa Claus.
Yeah. So yeah, that was interesting. I really enjoyed the whole change. I actually really enjoyed the change in Polyphemus' Island. I think it was a little bit more interesting. It gave us more information. The batting was hilarious.
We would have died. We
would have died. Like it wouldn't have even Polyphemus would not have had to
act like a sheep, and she bad that first time, and Percy looked at her like, "Girl, what?"
Like I think we could have gone with the boss.
I was like, y'all do know y'all could get away with this without buying, right?
Without buying.
But I'm like, y'all are kids though, so I could see why a bunch of kids would think to blend in, we also need to buy.
That was so funny. I was like, I'd be dead in seconds.
I'd be dead.
I'd have to wait on the boat because that would not work.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, we'd be dead. Also, how do you feel? So in the book, the sheep were basically carnivores, like evil sheep. How do you feel about them just being normal, regular sheep?
I guess I don't really think I care that much about the sheep not being carnivores because what they did was Tyson changed, so they didn't need to be carnivores. Essentially, for that to matter at the end of the day, like because I guess what it really comes down to is since they changed that Polyphemus was the one who changed the fleece, like he, you know, gave a decoy fleece. I don't think it really mattered that the sheep were carnivores or not. Now, would it have been fun to see Tyson calm them down and all the other stuff and them think he's Polyphemus? That probably would have been really funny. But I don't think it's necessarily a big thing for them not to be that.
I personally was like, oh, I'm like, a lot of these changes are making a lot of sense. The evil, the carnivorous sheep, I'm okay with not having it because it also gave us a chance to get the Iris message.
Yeah, which wouldn't have happened if we had to deal
Would
with the
not have
sheep.
happened if the sheep were crazy. Before we get to the end of the Iris message, I really liked the Iris message for two reasons. One, because I saw some discourse online. I just want y'all to know, I'll be watching the discourse. I just don't comment because a lot of times I think the discourse is so unnecessary.
It is.
But I don't know how to put this. It's one of those things where Luke is actually a very well-rounded villain.
Mm-hmm.
He might be a kid. This might be a trauma response and an anger response to his dad, but like he's a villain that is multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
So like the conversation, like I need to give it to the boys of this episode. Last episode, I said the girlies were eating
Walker and Charlie ate down today.
Walker, Charlie, even Arian, they were giving us facial expressions of hurt, of like dismay, and like even in this Iris message, Annabeth called it. I know you're scheming by calling me. I know you're doing that. And he's like, basically, he never denied it, but he was also just kind of like basically trying to tell her like, I need you to be careful, without saying I need you to be careful. And it's like, yes, he was mean to her the last time that they saw each other, but he like still needed to warn her like, hey, he is not somebody to play with. Do not underestimate him. And I was just like
the constant push and pull of who Luke is between the extreme amounts of anger and wrath that he holds in himself versus the person that, you know, Annabeth grew up knowing, like the big brother-esque person that she's known her whole life. Because right now we're going to speak in terms of Sea of Monsters, not in terms of Titan's Curse, Labyrinth, or Last Olympian. In terms of now, in terms of how Annabeth and Luke's relationship is going right now, in her eyes, there's still a way to remove him from Cronus's grasp and return him to whatever Luke that she saw. But what I think is really interesting about the conversation between Luke and Annabeth about Thalia is Luke telling her, you know, you were a kid when all this happened and you didn't know Thalia 100% like I knew Thalia. And I think that's interesting because in the same way, Annabeth doesn't 100% know Luke, because even Percy, when he first meets Luke, he does not think that original prophecy is about Luke. He does not even consider the fact that maybe Luke was the bad guy until the very end, where he's like, oh, wait.
Yep.
That's us. And then he's like, okay, well, you're a bad guy. And Percy is now on the ladder, on the half of, oh, you're horrible and you're going to stay horrible. I don't like you. I don't appreciate it. No. But then Annabeth is the other end where she's like, I know you're doing bad right now, but I know you can change. And because of that, when the Iris message pops up, at first I was like, oh my God, Luke, what are you about to say?
I mean, okay, when the Iris message came up, I said, oh God, I was like, it's about to be, I was like, Luke is about to distract her long enough for Polyphemus to get out, and the whole plan is going to be ruined because they would totally do something like this to us and like have it go. I was like, it can't go that far left that fast. It can't. Because, I mean, we knew from the book that Annabeth gets hurt.
Right.
And I was like, there's no way. Because in my head, I had to keep it to myself. I'm like, there's no way that she's going to get hurt this early in the episode. There's no way that she's going to get hurt this early in the episode because she's completely she's like, her guard drops when she starts talking to Luke. She's not looking around anymore. She's not doing anything. And I'm just like,
and she's holding up time. Like, she's holding up time to the point where, like, it gets to the point where I can kind of understand. Okay, we got to talk about this part. I can kind of understand Percy's exasperation behind it. Because, I'm sorry, I just keep on thinking of all the memes people post online.
Oh my God, I've seen so many. Like, I just want to say yeet every time now.
I don't know. When I first watched it and he yeeted the hell out of that Iris message, I died. I was like,
I think it was like just the action and the way that like it felt like he was like running off screen to to cut the conversation, and then just kind of stumbled when he did it. It was just like,
Percy is so tired of everyone. He's tired of Hermes. He's tired of Annabeth. He's tired of everyone wanting to help him.
What are you doing?
I could not keep it. I know for a fact everyone had to be dying laughing watching Walker do that scene because I know it was funny.
I want to know how many times it took to do that scene and Leah keep a straight face.
Because it was hilarious. I'm not
because
gonna lie.
His facial expression on that was like, it almost was like he was about to trip because like that's just how hot he came in to shut that combo off.
He looked like, are you dead ass?
The look that he gave her was like, you cannot be serious right now.
Okay, calming down because I just keep on replaying the
same
post I see online and it's killing me.
I thought that was so ridiculous. I was like, this fits the Percy that we're seeing in the series so well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop it from being the most random part of the episode.
Because my question was, why not walk up and listen to what he's saying first?
Because I thought he was gonna just like listen off like to the side and then like join in, and I thought that's how Luke was gonna cut the conversation.
Yeah.
No.
I thought he was gonna come listen and tell Luke to F off and then throw the Iris message away. I was not prepared. I was not prepared for him to just be like, no, we're shutting this down now.
It was like, the shut off, and then the immediate like, what the is wrong with you?
He was, and Annabeth was just like, are you freaking stupid? Like, what are you doing?
And he's like, she's like, we have to hurry up before, and he's like, no, we do have to hurry up, and that's why I'm here.
I was waiting up there, you weren't doing nothing.
I was like, I actually am on Percy's side on this one.
Yeah,
he did his job. She did not. So I'm on his side on that one, but cannot stop me from being one of the funniest parts of the episode. Because I was like, that was so
between him hyperventilating from running so fast and then swiping the Iris message.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I was like, he saw Luke and just got aggro.
He was just like, no, we're not doing this. And I think it's really, really good writing to have Percy keep coming into contact with other people who have faith in Luke and he doesn't have faith because his understanding of what's going on is very much Luke's bad and we're on the good side.
It's pretty black and white.
Yeah, and so because of that, he can't understand why Hermes, why people at camp, why Annabeth, all these people that he cares about, he looks up to, he's friends with, are consistently trying to hear him out, which is understandable given all the things that Luke has done at this point. But it's understandable from Annabeth's perspective because in Annabeth's perspective, like she said, when she saw him stab the tree, it was like watching my brother stab my sister. So I think it was good for the continued beef between Luke and Percy. I will say, I think Luke's a little bit more toned down for the series than he is in the books.
I think so too. My guess is that oh shoot, almost spoiled. Book 3, I think, is where we're gonna really see like the full like
scope of Luke.
We're gonna call it the evil transformation part happen. I think because he is a little softer in this season.
Because he's really mouthy to Percy in the books.
Yeah, and their arguments back and forth are actually what I was hoping to see more of because we only got it in episode 3. I think we got a little bit of it.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if they keep how much of it they keep for the end battle because there is a lot like that's the whole point of them battling is that Percy keeps mouthing off. But I do think they tone him down a little bit. Now, granted, again, a lot of these things could possibly be just because we're reading from a perspective of Percy and only Percy versus the TV show where if I see people say that they feel like they're trying to force this sympathetic feeling on Luke, but I don't necessarily think it's that they're trying to force it. So. I think it's more so that we're getting his perspective, and because of that, it's appearing more. Sorry,
I keep yawning too. You're fine.
Keep on feeling like it's this Luke apologist type thing, but I don't think it's that. I think it's literally just that. With Percy in the books, you're only reading Percy's perspective, and only times you really get Luke is when he's in front of Luke or when he's being told about Luke. But
in this, keep reminding ourselves of that.
yeah, we have it to where you're not just getting Percy's reactions, you're getting Annabeth, you're getting Thalia, you're getting other campers, you're getting Luke's
you're getting Luke.
Yeah,
you're getting Luke directly too. We're not getting him from another person.
I think that might be why it feels a bit different, because when you're reading the books, Percy's rage kind of becomes your rage. You're reading the books and you're understanding for Percy differently than you would be in the show.
This is also another important thing. Every time, even in the books, when we encounter Luke, Luke is usually in front of a crowd of his followers and monsters. Luke is never by himself the way he has been by himself
consistently.
Because even after the Iris message ends, he only encounters the one girl. Listen, I need to come up with a name for her, because I've been calling her the Apollo hater, because I forget the girl's name.
The Apollo hater?
The girl she's child of Apollo, and she asked Luke, why do you even care about
why is she Apollo hater?
Because she's a child of Apollo. That's literally how I associate her, because when I tell you, I cannot think of that girl's name for the life of me.
I just think of Allison Argent from Teen Wolf. That's how I remember.
But I think that's probably on purpose, because it's very clear that something's going to happen to this girl at some point.
Oh, yeah. I don't even like her at any point.
Season 5, she's not going to make it at the end. I already know. I really do hope it's going to be her via Annabeth Chase, but Annabeth don't got the skill to go on against an adult like that. But would love it if this became something. I don't know. I like it. I don't know. I think actually softening Luke up will make this series so much more heartbreaking at the end.
I could see that, because I feel like Percy Jackson fans in a general sense are come in 3 parts. There are people who outstandingly hate Luke, like do not think he has a redeeming quality. There's a section of people who are complete and utter Luke apologists, where they're like, well, my poor baby, caress and doing too much. And then there's people like in the middle that are just kind of like, they could take him or leave him, where it's just like they understand he's a villain, but they also understand why he's a villain.
He kind of has the Killmonger effect. I hate to use that as an example, but it's the way
Killmonger is always a perfect example for,
it's like
bad guys.
The motives are a little convoluted. The way he chooses to go about these motives, horrible, illegal, wrong. But
the ideology behind
it's not really that bad.
Because like when you watch Black Panther, the first movie, when you watch Black Panther and you're watching it, you're like, okay, well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. However, you are murdering a lot of people.
Right. It's like
your point.
The stuff in the museum is yours, 1,000%. But did you have to kill the lady to get it?
You couldn't have just like cloned them or something. Like, I don't get it.
She just worked here.
He was like, you should be careful about what you drink. And I'm like, what?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's the same way with Luke. It's like, yes, especially people who have read the books, we understand what drives Luke. We understand the motivation behind what Luke does. We understand why it was so easy for Kronos to talk to Luke in the first place. Luke also still made the decisions to do everything that he's doing, knowing that they're wrong.
Yeah. And keep in mind,
you don't have to get what he get, because
it wasn't like Kronos chose Luke for no reason. He chose someone that he knew had a lot of revenge in him. Luke is very vengeful. He wants revenge, and he wants his own revenge. He doesn't care about revenge for all the other demigods, because if he cared about the revenge for all the other demigods, he would hear them out, but he does not. He has a one-track mind to his revenge of what he finds just for the gods, and that is it. Even though he's trusting the man who ate.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. I was like, there is a such thing as right and wrong.
Yeah.
So I do not agree with the Luke apologist at all, but I also don't agree with the Luke haters at all. I think a well-rounded character is the one that has it. I'll say this. I think that's what also makes him a good villain, because he has such he has the ability to have both sides. Because a lot of times when it's like I call him like the cartoon villain, like he's wrong. He don't got there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's just wrong. Like Clayton from Tarzan. He's a one-sided character. We don't get anything else from him. We all hate him. There's no apologists. There's no anybody trying to sympathize. But when you have a character that is well-rounded and able to have emotion and have a range, then we're gonna get people trying to sympathize with him, as well as the people who are just like burn him at the stake. So
yeah, exactly.
I think we're getting a good thing.
We as book readers know that even though Percy right now is very F Luke and all he stands for, that, you know, one of the, I think, best additions to the season, I think, is giving Sally more of a voice in the series than she had in the books. And in the beginning, you know, she shows Percy the coin, and he asks what do you think it means? And she says that it's that sometimes things are opposite sides of the same coin, which is exactly what Luke and Percy are like, because it's not necessarily that Luke and Percy have differing opinions about the gods. They have very similar opinions about the gods, but they have different, where they differ is that they have different feelings of what is right and what is wrong. Percy's version of right is not annihilating the human race just for your own revenge. That is not what his version is. Like, should the gods be punished? Maybe. But Percy does not think that he's the person that should be deciding that.
And that's the difference. So it's just like, I'm going to let the Luke people do the Luke things. I'm just going to appreciate Luke and appreciate Charlie for playing the heck out of Versace Luke. And, you know, I have to say something about his outfit every time. I was like, look, Luke's wearing another white outfit.
Charlie is doing the hell out of prep boy Luke, especially since he's not a prep boy in real life. He's playing the hell out of his character.
I was like, this Versace Luke thing, I was like, but I wonder if the white is a symbolic thing. And I wonder if it's going to change.
To like dark colors.
I wonder if the intentional, because he is in white every time we see him. Every time. I'm wondering about the intentionality about him wearing white.
Because it could like go to dark colors as he slowly progresses into deeper and deeper and deeper into his cause. That's good foreshadowing to have in there.
The foreshadowing is possible. However,
we got to move on.
We have to move on because we can talk about this forever,
all the time. So that could be another day. But okay,
let's get to the tree.
He gets to the tree. He sees Annabeth. He sees Clarice and he sees Grover, and they're trying to tell him it's a trap. It's a trap. Too late. They don't have enough time.
Can we pause right here?
Clarice for always being one step ahead, though.
Okay, I said, listen, to all of the people that hate Clarice's character because of the book, grow up. Because I love this Clarice down bad. I love her. I love her. I love her. Because as soon as she saw that she had backup, first of all, sis is also really strong. I need to reiterate that. She's really strong. Because I don't know if y'all know this, but she basically tried to pistol squat Grover up. And then luckily hit the mirror and like figured out a different way. Sis works so fast. Like, yes, Athena is strategy and everything, but we're not going to pretend like Ares does not also give that kind of strategy and stuff to his children as well. And Clarice is the creme de la crop, honestly.
For sure.
I mean, she saw him and went straight to work, and Grover just being a big
Grover. I love him so bad.
I think what made it funny for me is like he's like, oh, what's happening? But he's like still in the dress.
And his mouth is still covered.
Flailing around, and he's like, oh! And she's not saying anything to him. And then when she finally hits the mirror and the glass falls, he goes, oh. I was like, yep, this is actually, this works for me a lot. Now, I can't say that I don't love that little round fluff ball of evil known as Polyphemus, because
they shouldn't have made him cute if that was.
They shouldn't have made him cute. That's probably what it is. I think that's what makes his like evil like so much better, because like it's almost like
they made him cute, and they made him lonely. Like, what was I supposed to do?
They gave him purpose. They gave him like wit. He's really smart and like methodical.
Yeah.
In like the most evil way. But the moment that Annabeth realized that it was a fake, and she's like trying to call Percy, and like, but then at that time, Clarice and them get out too, and they're like, no, climb back up or you're going to be stuck in here with us. Go. And at this point, Annabeth realizes, oh, cookies, and puts the hat on, right?
Yeah.
And then he looks down and he's just like, basically like, oh,
what do he say? He says, uh-oh. And then like it falls.
But I thought, oh snap, this is gonna be a long drop for Percy. No, because super strong Clarice catches that man without even a grunt. Just,
you know what? I guess the writers were tired of people saying that Clarice was not buff enough to do stuff, and they were like, no, actually she is.
Because if you were worried about Clarice not being like the super buff strong chick that was depicted in the book, I hope y'all got it now, because he fell from a distance.
Yeah, that was
and she caught him with nothing. And Percy being Percy, hi. Perseus.
No, wait, can we scroll back a little bit? Because people always complain that Percy lost his comedy, but I disagree, because there's that one scene.
Oh no, I disagree wholeheartedly.
Talking where he's like, they're both down there, like Clarice and Grover, and Annabeth's like, we don't even have enough like to barely save Grover. He's like,
oh yeah, he's like,
just leave Clarice. And then she's looking at him and he's like, I'm joking. Kind of.
I feel like the people that keep saying like he's losing, like he's lost that, it's like, well, we're not in his head all the time anymore.
Yeah.
That's
and
one.
A lot of Percy's funny was in his head.
Yeah, a lot of the Percy funny was in his head, but the Percy, we're still getting facial expressions. We're still, again, that yeet was still hilarious. I don't care what y'all say. That was.
I will listen to nothing.
That was not romantic. That was hilarious.
When in season 1, what is the first thing out of that man's mouth at Camp Half-Blood was, she met a pine cone's fate. I want to hear nothing. That man is hilarious. Okay, he's hilarious.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that. You don't know, I forgot about that. But yeah, this is why I be saying, like, I feel like the funny that when he does have these moments, I find them funnier because they're not happening as often as they do in the book. Because, like, again, she caught that man. He didn't even say thank you. He was just like, hey,
hi. Like, and then she drops him.
Yeah, I mean, her dropping him is very on brand for Clarice. So I'm not really worried. Now, when Luke basically teleports in my head, I was like, ooh, you ashy.
I was like, here you go.
Yeah, I was like, here you go.
Interesting. When I saw the Iris message, I was like, oh, Luke's coming to the island. That's what the change is going to be. He's going to come to the island. Very obvious he's coming. And take the fleece, which made a bit, it's fine. I think it makes more sense for what they were doing in there. But then he sees Annabeth.
And he fighting. Knows it's Annabeth.
Yeah, he knows it's Annabeth because, come on. Fighting Polyphemus. And, he still is battling between, I need the fleece, but my sister is down there and fighting this huge giant. But he still goes for the fleece. He goes for the fleece, but he realizes, shit, the fleece is fake. Like, it's not real.
Also, and the amount of videos I saw about people being like, I don't know why I thought that the fleece was going to be like this silk blanket. And I'm like, fleece?
As in it was on the sheep?
Fleece. And y'all think Pan would have made some type of blanket out of fleece? Pan would have kept that junk supernatural.
The god of the wild. The god of the wild.
God of the wild is not going to make a manufactured item. But I did think some of the memes and stuff were funny because
they were funny.
But yeah,
I don't think people realize what fleece exactly was, but it's okay.
I don't think people did either, because the response to the golden fleece online had me dying.
Your Uggs are insanely manufactured. Okay, like it's.
Yeah, I was like, guys, this is a lesson for everybody. This is the natural fleece. Like, this is fleece for this natural space.
Please. Okay, so that ends up being a bust.
Yes. Right? But he did end up seeing Annabeth be safe, though.
Yeah.
Like, and they purposely made sure that we saw that he saw her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, again, in my head, I'm watching this with somebody who's never seen the thing, and I was like, oh my God. Because at this point, I can tell y'all this now. So my prediction was at the end of the season that Luke was going to kidnap Annabeth, and like we were going to be devastated from the kidnapping. At this point of the episode, I'm like, holy crap, he's gonna kidnap her in this episode. Because I already knew it was gonna happen, and I was like, holy crap, Luke is here. Luke is going to kidnap her.
Yeah, that was my thought when I realized that he was going to be on the island. I said, "Oh, okay, so this is when he's going to take Annabeth, which would then get them back on the Princess Andromeda."
Yes.
And before we jump to that, because we do have to get to the point where Polyphemus comes and he knocks the hell out of Annabeth,
bruh,
like to the point where she's like bleeding everywhere.
Yes.
Now, I guess we
this act okay, so the her getting hit by Polyphemus actually happens in the book.
Mm-hmm.
It happens inside the cave. It happens in the cave in the book. Happening outside of the cave, where they could not get to her, brought an entirely different element to this entire thing.
It was like I was literally in my head. I was just like, "Oh my god!" All 5 books are already Percy and Annabeth taking turns watching the other almost die. But I'm just like, they starting early. They starting real early with this.
One is way more tragic than what I thought we were gonna go with.
In the book, doesn't she fall?
Yeah, he knocks her off something and she falls. But she's still inside the cave, like where they can get to her. Like it's still one of those things where like all 3 of them fight to protect her in the cave.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But in this one, it was pretty intense because in this aspect, you have not only Percy, you have Percy, Grover, and Clarice, and none of them can save her. And you get Percy, and I think Walker outdid himself. When he screams no, when
that
he realizes
guttural scream, that guttural scream.
Oh, I was like, Walker should not ever question himself because he does so well. And I felt so heartbroken for the 3 of them because they're all there.
Like guttural,
ooh,
painful scream. I was like literally when he screamed like that, I was like this. I said, okay, because again, we're off script. This is not what happened in the book. And I was just like, in my head, I'm like trying to go through like the book. I'm like, what could possibly happen here where it would make sense?
What's so funny? I think it's hilarious because sometimes I have to go back and open the book to see what happens because since I'm watching, at this point, I've watched 2 adaptations of the same book. So I'm questioning what happens in the book. I have to go back and I'm like, wait, how did that happen in here?
I was literally sitting there like, wait. I was like, no.
This is why we read it right before the season started.
And we are still not remembering because that
I was like, wait,
that is our brains.
Okay, so he sees Annabeth on the ground and then Tyson shows up.
Listen, me and my friend cheered when Tyson came on the screen.
And what's so interesting is that we both know that Tyson is obviously not dead.
We knew.
I forgot that he has to come back. And so when he does come back and no, he comes back.
Yeah, he comes back at this point.
I love that Polyphemus tries to kind of like talk to him because in the book he does try to tell him like I don't want to fight you.
Yes.
A little bit, but obviously Tyson's like, well, no, you're about to fight my brother, brother, really, but whatever. And he starts speaking to him in ancient Greek. Oh my god, I loved it. I loved it.
I was like, because remember in the book, like they call him a traitor. Like a lot of the Cyclops, they call him a traitor because he like teams up with demigods. And so when he showed up and he's like, listen, we don't need to do this. Everything's gonna be fine. And then Polyphemus is like, listen, little brother, I do not want to hurt you. This has nothing to do with you. Like, just go on about your business. This is my island. This is my stuff. Like, these demigods belong to me. And I'm like, this is just such a cordial conversation before, like, I will kill you, though, if you don't leave. Like,
which
go.
Another change. Because in the books, Percy also helps fight Polyphemus.
Yes. This is another reason why I said putting him behind the rock. Because at this point, he's gone through a range of emotions behind this rock where he can only he can do nothing. This is all behind a rock. This man, this poor boy has watched his friend get got, thought that he was about to watch his friend get finalized got, and then his little brother pops up who he thought's been dead for a while now. So now he's got to watch his little brother fight a Cyclops by himself without help. And I think what does Tyson do?
He's like, oh, no, my brother's in there. You're the bad guy. So we got to wreck. That's all we got to do.
body slams and throws that man off the cliff with him too.
And Percy gets to see him die again.
I'm about to say, keep in mind, now I have to say this again. It's like, remember, he thought Tyson was dead. He just watched Annabeth get knocked out. He thought he was about to watch Polyphemus kill her. Then Tyson pops back up where he realizes, oh my God, he's alive. Where he just watches Tyson fight Polyphemus, and then they both go off a cliff. Percy has gone through a range of emotions that is not.
In mind, jumping off of a cliff is very different than a boat exploding, because like even Annabeth told him, well, he's fireproof. Maybe he didn't burn. He's a child of Poseidon. Poseidon might have saved him. So Tyson coming back would be like, okay, maybe you did not burn alive. Maybe Dad did save you, but now you're going off a cliff. And you are not immortal.
Going off a cliff.
He gets to watch Tyson die again.
Right. Great. So at this point, he's screaming again because poor baby.
And on top of everything, Luke shows up.
Yeah, I was saying, because keep in mind, Annabeth is still in fact dying. And then Luke pops up. And this boy becomes
enraged.
He's just a wreck. Like, he loses it. That his voice octave drops into that like growl thing.
I said, don't touch her. I was like, well, I don't think he's going to hurt her, but I can understand why you're pissed off.
Like, I feel like, because I saw somebody else say that they thought that was overdone. And I was like, do y'all not realize what he just went through? Like, what he's like, again, all of this is from behind a rock.
I think when people are talking about stuff being overdone, especially when it comes to Percy and Annabeth, is because they're only looking at them through a romantic lens. And if you only look at Percy and Annabeth through a romantic lens, first of all, I think you're doing a disservice to their romance that eventually happens. And second of all, you're not looking correctly, because that was not Percy being in love with Annabeth. That was Percy literally losing his best friend. Because I think also when it comes to Percy and Grover, their relationship is very different than his and Annabeth. Grover's a satyr. He's his protector, and they have a friendship that is really tight. They're best friends.
It's a different dynamic. This is his first demigod friend.
Yeah, this is his demigod friend who he trusts, who trusts him. They have at this point gone on multiple quests together, and they have been choosing each other again and again and again and again, even amongst their own family, their own friends, the people they normally would probably, veer towards in a different sense. Like, even though Annabeth and Luke and Thalia were once a trio, Annabeth is consistently still choosing Percy, even though she could join Luke's cause. She could, as much as she does give Luke a little leeway, she could be on his side, but she consistently chooses Percy, which is a friendship he's never had before, and that she's never had before.
Keep in mind, any other time that one of them has gotten hurt, the other one has been there to help the other one. This is the first one where Annabeth gets hurt and Percy literally physically cannot do anything. That man was grunting and pushing up against that rock like he had some magic strength.
Right after the scene at Cersei's Island where he tells her verbatim, what if it comes down to you versus Camp? You versus
foreshadowing? Woo!
Like they wrong, and this is nasty work for making them.
I didn't know I did not know that this was the direction that they were going. But once Luke came on the scene,
I was like, oh, he's going to give him that day.
And then Luke's voice cracked.
Yeah.
Where he was like, she's dying. I knew for a fact Percy was getting that fleece. Now, what I thought was going to happen was that Percy and Clarice were about to throw bows. I thought that there was about to be an actual altercation. I thought Percy was going to pull his sword out on Clarice. I honestly thought that's where we were going, because once the foreshadowing hit and then Luke's voice broke, Percy looked like he was on the verge of having a full-blown crash out. His face, while they were talking inside the cave, it was him battling between doing what he knew Annabeth would have wanted him to do, which was save the camp. Clarice was 100% correct. Yeah. Annabeth would have wanted them to save the camp. But that did not override Percy's need to save his friends.
Yeah.
And you saw the battle happen before he grabbed that fleece.
Yeah, because he was
Clarice was real.
And also, I think that was also the first time since learning that Luke was a traitor that he had to really ask himself, like in his head, do I think, because when Luke first shows up, he says, "Don't you dare touch her, don't hurt her, whatever," because he's under the assessment that Luke would. Which, I mean, again, we're talking a sea of monster. We're not talking about future books. But then in this scenario, he has to ask himself, is my opinion of Luke worth not giving him the fleece and not saving Annabeth? Because he's at this point where you hear Luke voice crack, he's freaking out, and then Percy tells him, "Oh, make a portal." And Luke starts freaking out. He can't make a portal again.
Yep.
And it's not possible. And then at that point, Percy's like, there's nothing else to do. And Grover accidentally distracts Clarice in enough time for Percy to take the fleece, give it to Luke.
Because Grover was trying to be the heart again.
He was trying so hard.
He was trying. I mean, that's his friend too. And even Clarice was like, this is what Annabeth would want us to do. I'm not destroying this. And after all of it was over, what did she say? You killed Camp.
You killed Camp. You killed Annabeth too.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what a hero, or something like that.
Yeah. And
it was like, ooh, dagger.
I was like, oh, Clarice kind of ate you down, because this is also true. But then again, our baby Tyson said,
listen, the look that Walker gives Percy after Luke picks up.
The look that Walker gives Percy?
Yes. No, like the look that he acts as Percy.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I mean Walker, the actor, as he is Percy. I think that was confusing. When Luke picks up Annabeth and leaves, and Percy turns around, and he all of a sudden is bombarded with what he just did.
Yep.
Because the fleece would essentially help Annabeth, but it also, quickly resurrects Cronus. And he sits down, and the gravity of that choice that he made, that human choice that he made.
The choice that he was already well aware that he was going to do.
Yeah. Which is why he said he did not want to go to the quest anymore, because he was like, no, if it came down to you versus Camp, you versus Grover, you versus whatever, I would make the wrong decision. And now, whether or not it's a wrong decision, I think it's questionable, because I don't necessarily think saving Annabeth is a wrong decision.
It's not a wrong decision. It's just that there's a greater good decision that was
which is what Clarice was talking about. But it also kind of the whole decision kind of leans towards what Luke is always saying, that the gods want us to do their bidding. Saving Annabeth versus saving Camp is what Luke is constantly talking about. Is, you have to make a decision that's impossible for the gods. Because regardless of how you see Luke, as good, bad, evil, whatever you see him as, his ideology and what he's talking about when it comes to the gods is true. Demigods are created to do the gods' bidding. And in that scenario, you have Clarice, who is on the side of, this is my quest. I have to do this quest, whether you guys come back with me or not. And then you have Percy, who is in the middle, where he's like, I don't want the gods to die, but if you're asking me to ignore the fact that a good person who does not deserve this die, then no. And then you have Luke, who's kind of like, I don't give a shit.
Yes.
I'm going to take the fleece, and Annabeth, and I'm going to go.
Because so again, this is Luke's side. This is also Luke. I'm going to say that this is like the heart of Luke, where the care for Annabeth comes in. Because even the way that he picked her up and looked at her, it's very much like, he can pretend like he doesn't care. He can pretend as much as he wants. The conflict will continually be Kronos versus his feelings and his true feelings about the people that matter to him in his life. Because even though he can try to pretend, there are people in his life that matter to him.
Yeah.
So that's like, it's like the parallel of watching Luke's other side versus Percy's other side.
Yeah. Which is also why fatal flaws are so important in the Percy Jackson series, because the fatal flaw that's within you can really mess with your understanding of right and wrong, or understanding of what should happen versus what shouldn't happen. Luke's not obviously, but Luke had a fatal flaw that gets talked about later, But his fatal flaw, this is a spoiler, so if you want to skip over this part, there will be something on screen that shows you that the spoiler is being talked about, and then when we're done, it'll go away. But Luke's fatal flaw is, what is it, like excessive wrath, I think is what it is.
Excessive wrath.
Yes. And because of that, even though he has care for Annabeth, and regardless of how you feel about Luke as a character, he does genuinely like Percy, and he wants Percy to be on his team. Now, is he above killing Percy if it means getting what he wants? No. But, you know, he does in retrospect.
It's like, I like you, but I'm not going to deter my mission for you.
He has beef that they really haven't explored in the show like they do in the books. But he has beef with Grover about them going to camp. But he still has a slight place in his heart for Grover as well. But because his fatal flaw is excessive wrath, it clouds all those things. And then you have his character and Charlie's portrayal of Luke constantly battling that, where he sees Annabeth on the ground, you know, dying, and he's second guessing stuff, but he's not second guessing enough to the point where he'd be willing to get Clarice, Percy, and Grover out of the cave to save her. The only way to save her,
had in his mind.
No, the only way to save her was give me the fleece.
Yep. And he knew he knew that if he could get the fleece, this would basically kill two birds with one stone. Yeah. This was not a situation of him having a hero moment. No, this was purely a selfish intentions situation on both Percy and Luke's side. Mm-hmm. So this was one of those, they're actually the same person on the flip of the coin. Mm-hmm. This is a perfect example of that. And I must give it to Charlie and Walker. Y'all ate down. I was very proud. My little children are acting.
Okay. So Percy and Annabeth, Percy and Clarice. Percy sits down, Clarice says what she says, and then Tyson shows back up. Reason for Phil.
Tyson comes back and he says, sorry, basically Tyson chose helping them versus getting Annabeth away from Luke.
I'm assuming they murdered Polyphemus.
Okay, so when he said Polyphemus won't be bothering us anymore, I was like,
and he said anyone anymore. He didn't say us. He said won't be bothering anyone anymore.
I was like, are we Tyson? Are we murdering people?
Tyson, did we murder the Cyclops? I thought maybe he just like knocked them out. Hopefully, like next episode, that's what it is. Because I just don't see how murdering him helped anything.
I can't, because also like, because this question was asked by my friend that's watching with me. Like, is the reason that Tyson has like extra abilities that other Cyclops don't have necessarily, is that because like Poseidon claimed him? Because if all Cyclopses are children of Poseidon, wouldn't Polyphemus be able to breathe underwater?
Tyson, no. Well, technically, Percy can't breathe underwater. Poseidon gave him that ability.
Okay, so that's what we were trying to figure out. I'm like, I feel like that's something that Poseidon actually like gave to him. He
actually gives Percy the ability to breathe underwater. You know, in the first book and in the first season, when he falls into the lake or
you're
river,
right. He does. They tell him
just breathe. Your father is with you, and then he breathes and he's able to breathe underwater. So that's
that scene in the beginning of the episode was when Tyson got the same ability, I assume.
Yeah, I would assume that's what it was. That's why Annabeth told Percy in the last episode, he's also a son of Poseidon. Poseidon could help him if he wanted to. So
yeah,
I would assume that's what that was.
Yeah, and this is where we get.
But also, Cyclopses work underwater, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah, because I was like,
but that is probably specific to Cyclopses that work for Hephaestus. Yes. Because Polyphemus does not. I was like, because all Cyclopses do not work for Hephaestus. They're just some that do,
and some of them work in other places. That's why I was saying. I was like,
no, it's just something Poseidon bestows on them.
I was like, Tyson, did you kill this? Did you drown him?
I guess it depends. Is it water under them? Was there like rock under them?
I don't know.
I guess that would depend on that.
We don't know. They didn't show any of that.
I love the idea of killing Polyphemus.
I don't like the idea of Tyson, especially being the one.
Especially because in the book, when Percy and Poseidon, when Percy and Tyson are fighting Polyphemus, Percy falters because he looks at Polyphemus and he sees Tyson in him. Yes. And he's like, this is also my brother. And they still don't kill Polyphemus in the book. In the book, Polyphemus thinks he won.
Yes.
So I don't know how that works in this one because I don't know. Whatever.
I just had a realization.
What?
The title of this episode is Nobody Gets the Fleece, and Annabeth refers to herself as Nobody to Polyphemus.
You just got that?
My brain just...
Oh, wait, Brittany, that's in the book too.
No. I know, but specifically for the show, she's the only one that uses the nobody lines. Nobody else uses that in the show.
I don't think anybody else in the book does either.
Percy does.
Does he?
Yeah. In the book, Percy does. So I'm like, oh.
Well, okay. But also, though, in the book, they all get the fleece. Like, there is no Luke gets the fleece. So even Percy and Annabeth getting the fleece would still be nobody.
But I was saying it based because, the show be trying to do little moments. And I was like, oh my God, nobody did get the fleece, but nobody also almost died.
But that still happens in the books, is what I'm saying.
It does, but it's just the way that I'm like, that's a petty title. I know what y'all did there. I love it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is it's the title of the chapter in the book as well.
It is. I know. But like, I feel like they added a little razzle dazzle with a little extra in there. And I'm like, the writers are writing.
Yeah.
I will also say that. I feel like this adaptation is getting so much more love and attention than that first one that we don't really speak of. I think even down to the way that Tyson calls Rainbow. With the bracelet.
And you get your full rainbow scene at the end.
We got the full squad. I said, oh, this is going to be such... So the next episode, we all know, because there's 4 of them. So we all know they're all going to get to the boat. We know everything is happening on the boat. So I don't think they're actually going to catch up to Luke in the boat. I think they're going to decide to go to the boat and try to ambush him that way. Like, I think they're going to let him get on the boat fully. And then... Well,
he's already on the boat because they're sailing off in the last episode.
Was that Andromeda or was that the boat that Percy and Annabeth were on?
It's whatever boat, wasn't it? It was whatever boat Luke got on the island with. He wouldn't have brought the Princess Andromeda
to get on the island with the boat. Luke.
Then what was the boat that was sailing away?
The Luke teleported onto the island. Annabeth and Percy.
I know, but I'm saying Luke can't teleport back. That's what he was saying.
I know,
he can't teleport 2 people.
I actually think that they might have just didn't care to write that part in. But I think he stole the boat that Annabeth and Percy came in on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like because Percy led him back to where he thought his boat was.
Yeah, and then what I was saying was I would assume that he would get to the Princess Andromeda before them anyway.
Yeah,
he was pretty far away by the time.
I believe Rainbow could get him, but I don't. They're not going to do that. I don't think. But I'm like, they're going to be writing.
But I mean, I don't think it would be smart to let Luke know that they were like, even if Rainbow could, I don't think it would be smart to do that anyway.
Yeah, and again, I hope that we see some strategy and stuff from Clarice in this next episode.
She's definitely about to fight somebody in the next episode.
I hope it's the guy. I hope she realizes that her bae, the one that she was overly. I hope he is on the boat.
He's supposed to be on the boat.
It's either this one or next. I don't know when, but I feel like he's gonna be on the boat. And it's going to throw Clarice off. But I also need Clarice to whoop that other girl's behind.
Can we also acknowledge in the trailer, Percy has a stab wound? Did you see that?
I did. I did. Listen. And I already told you what my predictions were for the stab wound situation.
I know. I'm interested to see if that'll happen or not.
I'm not going to say it on here, but we'll talk about it later. Yeah. That's
the episode.
These next 2 episodes.
To think we have to wait until the end of this year, if not 2027. Ooh, child.
Not even that. It's the fact that they've gone off script so much that we can't even confidently say we know how this is going to play out anymore.
Well, okay, I wouldn't say that though, because I feel like they still go.
I think
exactly how the outline of it is. They just add stuff to it.
I think the general outline is pretty much the same, but I don't believe that the end of the book is going to be the end of the season.
Oh, okay.
I think that's going to be completely different. They're kind of setting it up in a way where it's 1,000, like where it's just not going to be the same.
We also presumably get a flashback again next episode.
I know, and I hope we already know what this we know what this flashback is going to be. We know that this is going to be how Thalia became the tree. Like we know. But yeah, ooh. Okay. But my only other question was like, well, no, I had to say this off. I'll say this off camera because that's a spoiler. So yeah, never mind. That is a spoiler. That's why I was like, there were a couple of things I wanted to talk about, and as I thought about them, I'm like, those are spoilers.
We actually did really well because we said before we started that we were not going to be able to talk about this episode without spoilers for future books, but I think we did really well. So
yeah, I only have to put up spoilers once.
So yeah, and I was just for the fatal flaw comments, and that's really not a big deal.
Good job, us. We're getting really good at this. All right. If you've made it this far, which I appreciate when y'all leave the emojis, it lets me know y'all really be listening to the whole thing. Yep. So for this one, do we have a sheep emoji? Hold on, I'm looking. Mine is well. It wouldn't surprise me. We have the most random emojis. We do. Leave a sheep emoji if you've made it this far. We will obviously be back
with it.
A horse? Is that what you said?
A seahorse.
Do we have a seahorse?
Yes, there's a seahorse emoji.
Bet. Okay, sheep and a seahorse. That's awesome.
So we have a little one for Polyphemus, and we have a little one for the hippocampi.
Shout outs to the cutie Polyphemus.
R.I.P. Because if you're dead,
I was just about to say, who is no longer with us?
I'm so sad.
Not where I thought we were going with that at all. I was like, oh. But yeah, thank y'all for checking us out. Don't worry. Obviously, we will be back with more episode analysis, but keep a lookout because on Wednesday of next week, the podcast is starting back up again. So yeah, thank y'all so much for coming to Pixie Heart Club. Don't forget, wherever you're watching or listening to this, please follow, subscribe, comment, or whatever. We see y'all. We got 45 people that are subscribed to us.
48. Huh? 48.
Oh, we have 48 now. Mm-hmm. We have more than that actually watching these videos. So if you're watching these videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Come back. You belong here. With that being said, see you on the next episode recap. Bye.